Hello, my name's Lizzie. I'm Anglican. In 5.5 weeks' time, I'm going to be moving into a convent ready to become a postulant. And I've mentioned in some videos before how much YouTube has played a role in my discernment. I've spent about the last 10 years watching every documentary about religious life that I could find, or videos made interviewing young nuns. So especially the ones where they talk to nuns, sisters who are my age. I found those particularly helpful. And one of the things I watched, which you might have watched yourself, was there was a BBC documentary that I think was called Young Nuns, and I think came out about 2011. And it followed two young women. They were both Roman Catholic and both in their early 20s, I think. And one was just sort of thinking about religious life and feeling like she might like to become a sister with a particular community. So it showed her having conversations with that community and going to visit them and stay with them. And then the other one was further down the process and was pretty much like at the same stage that I'm at now, where she actually had a date set for moving in, and it actually showed her getting into the car with her family to go and move into this convent. So I just thought it might be interesting to share my reactions, is that the right word, to this documentary, having, now that I'm in the process myself. So some things really resonate with me, and some things it feel like they're a bit I don't think intentionally misleading, but some things in the documentary, I don't think that they show something different from the reality that I'm experiencing, or what I've been told about the process. So very quickly, the documentary does seem good at showing that, the young woman that's really keen to join this religious community that she likes the look of. The documentary does show that it's not as simple as you decide that you'd quite like to become a nun, or you decide that you like a community, and you just move in. It shows that the sisters would ask you like to go through a bit of a process first, and not rush into anything, and like get to know them first and that kind of thing. So it shows it's not just like an overnight thing that you can do on a whim. And the other thing that the documentary was good at pointing out is that not everyone that gets to this stage of moving into a convent goes on to stay. And I've mentioned that in another video, where I said that the superior of a convent near me that I visit, she was saying that on average only about 1 in 4 people go on from being a postulant to becoming a novice. So the documentary was good at pointing that out. But then the other things that I would want to let the viewers know who watch this is, for a start, they've chosen, or they happened to be filming someone who was looking at probably like the most extreme form of religious life. She seemed to be going into a very enclosed order. So she's I got the sense that she was going into one of these orders or convents where there was maybe a grill, so that once you go inside, your family can visit you, but you can't hug them, and you just talk to them through railings. And so you'd never go back to your family home again. You'd never go back to your hometown. Those kind of things. It seemed like that was the kind of thing she was entering into. So then, of course, all her emotions and reactions to what she was going through were all the more extreme, because that is an extremely extreme thing to do. Whereas because I'm looking at a religious community where you get a day off and you get holiday days, and even in religious communities where you don't have a day off a week, you still do have a few holiday days, I'm sure, where you can go back to your family and spend time with them. So I think I would just want to make sure the viewers knew that the documentary is showing a more extreme order or community in that case. And then, the other thing that I would sort of link to that, or want to point out to the viewer, is that it is all done in stages, and that didn't come out quite so clearly in the documentary. That first you go and live with a community, and like just living alongside them, getting to know them, getting a feel for the community, and that's long before you actually have a date for moving in. You're just sort of living with them, trying it out. without getting rid of anything or leaving anything behind. And then when it comes to doing what I'm doing now, moving in to become a postulant, even then you're told to put as much as possible into storage. You're not asked to get rid of things. Whereas this documentary showed this young lady like getting rid of it. It looked like she was getting rid of everything. Whereas you don't need to do that to become a postulant, and that comes further down the line if you still feel it's what God's calling you to, and if the community still feel it's right. Um, so and then even after that, you would then at some point take temporary vows before, like years before taking any lifelong commitments. So the documentary kind of made it look a bit like this young lady was getting rid of everything all at once, like moving in on this certain date, never to go home again. And it made it look like she was like just making this kind of one decision of I'm definitely here for life from this moment on. Whereas I would just want to make sure that people knew that it's very much done gradually and in stages, because you've got to do it like that, because it is such an extreme commitment. If you do take life vows, you've got to spend lots of gradual stages and lots of years actually praying about it and working out if it is the right thing. So that's just my little thoughts on that documentary, so that it's not misleading or whatever to anyone, or putting them off or anything like that. Oh, and P.S. I'll link the documentaries on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description bar below. So if you're interested in watching it, or if you can't remember if you've watched it or not, you can have a quick look and see what I'm talking about.